you? Welcome to Becoming with Chief Mrs. I'm Chief Adenike Olumide-Emmanuel, and today I'm talking politics. Have you listened to the previous episodes? I've been talking about the Nigerian Constitution. I've spoken about how the Constitution came to be. I have read the schedules and the parts, and right now I am taking them one after the other. So I started with Chapter 1, and Chapter 1 has to do with the general provisions of the Constitution. I read out Part 1, Section 1, and Part 1, Section 2. Part 1, Section 1 had to do with, or has to do, because we're still using it, has to do with the supremacy of the Constitution, and Part 1, Section 2 has to do with the Federal Republic of Nigeria. I'm now going to move on to Part 3, and Part 3 has 6 subsections. So Part 3 has to do with State of the Federation and the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja. That is Part 3, Section 1. There shall be 36 states in Nigeria. That is to say, Abia, Adamawa, Akwa Ibom, Anambra, Bauchi, Bayelsa, Benue, Borno, Cross River, Delta, Ebonyi, Edo, Ekiti, Enugu, Gombe, Imo, Jigawa, Kaduna, Kano, Katsina, Kebbi, Kogi, Kwara, Lagos, Nasarawa, Niger, Ogun, Ondo, Osun, Oyo, Plateau, Rivers, Sokoto, Taraba, Yobe, and Zamfara. Did you smile when I was reciting, calling out the states? It reminded me of my baby when he's reciting states and capital. Let's move on. So the Part 3, subsection 2, was still in Part 1. Excuse me. So subsection 2 of the third section has to do with Part 1, first schedule. Part 1, first schedule. Okay, so Part 1, first schedule says that each state of Nigeria named in the first column of Part 1 of the first schedule to this Constitution shall consist of the areas shown opposite thereto in the second column of that schedule. And then the next subsection 3, it states the headquarters of the government of each state shall be known as the capital city of that state, as shown in the third column of the said Part 1 of the first schedule, opposite the states named in the first column thereof. Did you understand that? I don't do, but I'm just reading to you. And like I said, I am a political scientist. I'm not a lawyer. And then subsection 4 of Section 3 states that the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, shall be as defined in Part 2 of the first schedule to this Constitution. Subsection 5 states that the provisions of this Constitution in Part 1 of Chapter 8 hereof shall, in relation to the Federal Capital Territory, Abuja, have effect in the manner set out thereunder. And then subsection 6 states that there shall be 768 local government areas in Nigeria, as shown in the second column of councils, as shown in Part 2 of that schedule. That had to do with Part 1 of Chapter 1. We're looking at Chapter 1 of the Constitution, which has to do with general provisions, and that was Part 1. So now we're moving on to Part 2. Part 2 talks about powers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, the powers that we have as a nation. So moving on, Section 4, subsection 1. The legislative powers of the Federal Republic of Nigeria shall be vested in a National Assembly for the Federation, which shall consist of a Senate and a House of Representatives. Subsection 2. The National Assembly shall have power to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation or any part thereof, with respect to any matter included in the exclusive legislative list set out in Part 1 of the second schedule to this Constitution. So those lists are at the back of this Constitution. They are in the schedules there. If you had watched the first episodes, you would have known about the schedules. And then here we have subsection 3, which says, what's it saying? Hold on there, don't go anywhere. I'm gonna be right back here talking politics with you. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back. We are discussing the Nigerian Constitution, or rather, I am reading to you the Nigerian Constitution. Are you taking notes? Do you have comments? Please drop them in the comment section and we will attend to them. So right now, I am moving on to subsection 3 of section 4 of part 2. Did you get that? Subsection 3 of section 4, part 2 of the Constitution. And it goes thus: the power of the National Assembly to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the Federation, with respect to any matter included in the exclusive legislative list, shall, save as otherwise provided in this Constitution, be to the exclusion of the Houses of Assembly of States. I'm moving on, and I am going to section 4. In addition, and without prejudice to the powers conferred by subsection 2 of this section, the National Assembly shall have power to make laws with respect to the following matters. So right now, we're going to see the kind of law that the National Assembly can make. Any matter in the concurrent legislative list set out in the first column of part 2 of the second schedule to this Constitution, to the extent prescribed in the second column opposite thereto. So I'm not going to go read to you the schedule right now. You're going to have to wait for us to get there. But in case you cannot wait for me to get to the schedule, which is at the back of this, of the Constitution, you could just go get yours, And really, every home should have a copy of the Nigerian Constitution. If you don't have the hard copy, you can get a soft copy. And then I'm moving on to subsection 4b, which says, any other matter with respect to which it is empowered to make laws in accordance with the provisions of this Constitution. So the National Assembly has the power to make laws on any other matter with respect to which it is empowered to make laws. And then the next one here, section 5, if any law enacted by the House of Assembly of a state is inconsistent with any law validly made by the National Assembly. Remember, the National Assembly is the one for the country and the other one is the one for the state. So if the state, the House of Assembly of a state, makes a law and it is inconsistent with that made by the National Assembly, let's see what will happen. And that other law shall, to the extent of the inconsistency, be void. So that means that the law made by the state must step down or concede itself to the law made by the National Assembly. The one made by the National Assembly supersedes the one made by the state. And then section 6 here says that the legislative powers of a state of the Federation shall be vested in the House of Assembly of the state. And then the House of Assembly of a state shall have power to make laws for the peace, order, and good government of the state, or any part thereof, with respect to the following matters. That is to say, let me take that again. And as I'm about to take it again, begin to think about those states, in the northern part of Nigeria, in the southeast, southwest, that are going through some tough times right now. It says here, part 2 of the Constitution, section 4, subsection 7, it says here that the House of Assembly of a state shall have power to make laws. They have power to make laws for the peace of the state, peace, order, and good government of the state, or any part thereof, with respect to the following matters. That is to say, any matter not included in the exclusive legislative list set out in part 1 of the second schedule to this constitution. Where is that list? It's at the back. Any matter included in the concurrent legislative list set out in the first column of part 2 of the second schedule of this constitution, to the extent prescribed in the second column opposite thereto. Where is it? It's at the back of the constitution. Any other matter with respect to which it is empowered to make laws in accordance with the provisions of this constitution. So if you are a good student of government, I'm sure you know that we have 3 lists. We have the exclusive list, we have the concurrent list, and then I think we have one other list right now. I can't remember, but the exclusive list is that of the federal government. It is exclusive to them. And then the other list, concurrent, is that of the federal and the state, you know, what they can do together. I think there's one that has to do with the local government. Don't worry, I'm going to find out for you. So I'm just going to put a stop to it right now. There is so much to read in this constitution, so much information that you're going to gather. Wait till I get to the part that has to do with the fundamental human rights. I am so excited about that place, and then you can go out and begin to claim your rights, but claim it in a right way. Okay, so I'll come your way again next week. I am Chief Adenike Olumide-Emmanuel. Subscribe to my channel. Don't just come and just go like that. Subscribe and then like my page. Till I come your way again next week. Keep fulfilling destiny. Bye bye.